Hey everybody out there, this is Coach Santos. I'm glad you're here for another chess lesson today. We are going to be talking today about draws. Okay, first thing I want you to know, I don't like draws. I wish the game of chess didn't have it. What happens when we get a draw is that we have a point and we break it and we give half to one guy and half to the other guy. So sometimes it's a good thing if we're trying to get maybe second place or third place or something in a tournament. And we rather not take a loss. So I'm going to talk to you guys about that here in just a minute. So let's go ahead and let's take a look at our first position of the game or the day. But here, and this is not a draw here, this is a checkmate in one move. Pause the video for just a second if you need to. And we're continuing on here. Hope you got a chance to scan the board, took a good look around here. This checkmate in one begins with this rook over here. Just move the rook all the way down for the checkmate. Okay, the laser beams are going on the king like this, and there's laser beams here, and there's laser beams over here. So the king cannot take this awesome rook. He can't run anywhere, and he cannot block this check. So this is checkmate. Okay, I'm going to continue to keep on giving everybody checkmates from time to time. So let's take a look at our first position here. I don't want to save this. All right, so drawing a chess game here. Well, this could be a draw, or it is a draw, really. There's only two kings left on the board. All the other pieces have fought and battled and taken each other and captured each other, so you can't really do anything when you only have just two kings on the board. They're just going to circle around each other since they cannot touch each other, and it's just the king dance, I would say, like this. They're just dancing around, and this is what we call in chess a theoretical draw, when we know that there's no way for either side to win here. And that's we'll talk about that other one here. But this one, again, there's no material left on the chessboard. It's just a stalemate. It's a draw. Our next draw that we're going to take a look at is when we actually do have a few pieces left on the board. Could be these bishops like this. Well, in this one, there's not enough checkmating material. I just have a bishop, and black also has a bishop, and if I check him and he just stays on the dark squares like this, there's no way for my bishop to ever really get a chance to check him, because if I do check him, he could take me. And still, this is a draw. This is a draw because black has no way of actually getting a chance to checkmate me, especially if I stay on the light squares. There's nothing that he can do. This is also true when you have a king and a knight. Also, maybe a king and two knights. If the opponent's king does the king square dance in the middle of the board, then there's no way for him to be able to do checkmate. Black could checkmate white if he had two bishops on the board. There is a way to do that. Also with a knight and a bishop. So we'll try to take a look at those harder checkmates later on. Okay, so that's what we need to know about that. On our next position here, this is a new position here, and it is black to move. And as you notice that white has no squares, or he's looking for a way out. His king is looking mighty surrounded right now. So if black decides to take that bishop, black has laser beams coming all around the king and even over here. And so and the rook's also getting involved in this attack as well. So white cannot go anywhere because there's laser beams that are surrounding him. This is a stalemate position where the king can, it's white's turn, but he cannot jump into the laser beams of fire. He's just stuck. And so we have to be careful about those kind of tricks when we're playing chess. We want to make sure that we give the other guy a chance to run. Like I said, if we do a check here, um, then he has a running square that he could go to. Okay, and we can take a check and continue on putting this white king into checkmate. So it does not always have to be a stalemate, okay? We just have to go slow and especially when we have more pieces, like black has more pieces than white here. If you go slow, should be okay, and so you don't stalemate and get a draw. All right, let's look at the next type of draw. Draw number 4. Draw number 4 is when the chess position repeats itself 3 times. Let's take a look at this example. It's white's turn to move, and white sees that this pawn over here has no, it does have a backup buddy, excuse me, it's the king here, but it's a lousy backup buddy because we have the rook and we have the queen both attacking that pawn over here. And as you can look at this position here, white is in trouble. Black has more material on the board. He's got an extra rook and he's got an extra bishop here to checkmate white with. So white is trying not to panic. White is trying to look for a draw. He's trying to get a stalemate. By this way, we're going to repeat the position 3 times. I'm going to check this king. This king's going to go to the corner, and then I'm going to continue to keep on checking this king, and then he's going to go back and checking this king, and then he's going to go back. Is there a way for white to really checkmate this black king? Yes, if he plays poorly, but also this queen is threatening to come here to g2 to checkmate the white king here and put him into some trouble too. So this is something that a strategy that players will try to do as well, especially when they know that maybe they're losing or they don't want to lose a game. They'll try for some repeated positions here, because when we go back and forth 3 times like this, we got a draw. We're not getting anywhere. It can continue to keep on going on and on and on and on. All right, this is also takes me to the 50 move rule. The 50 move rule is when no pawn or piece has been captured and it's been 50 long moves. 50 long moves of chasing each other around the board, and nothing is being taken, nothing has been left the chessboard. So this is the 50 move rule, and they call this a draw because no action is taking place. This is why they also put this repeated position. They called it a threefold repetition. We're not getting anywhere in this chess game, and we call it a draw so that the other person also doesn't lose on time. All right, if you do see this in your game, you need to raise your hand for a tournament director to come over and just to let them know, take a look at your writing that you've been doing and saying, and this position has repeated itself 3 times. They will stop the clock, they'll take a look at it, and they go, okay, cool, this has been a draw. And they circle draw. All right, now we're going to the 5th type of draw, excuse me. Okay, here in the 5th type of draw, this is another theoretical draw kind of position here. Now, what happens typically is that, let's say it's white's turn to move, and white understands that this is, again, not a draw. This is a draw. This is a theoretical draw, and we in theory we see this sometimes happen pretty often. So white extends his hand and everything and says that this is a draw, a theoretical draw, and black can take a look at this, and when it's on his time, black can decide if he wants to accept the draw or not to accept the draw. For example, let's put white over here like this. Okay, now we know that black is going down the board, so he decides to check white. Okay, now that white is under check, again, he said that it was a theoretical draw, so he should know how to draw in this. White has two choices. We're going to take first a look at the wrong choice here, and he moves over to king to e1. And, well, this isn't a draw anymore for black. Black can actually do this and promote to a queen, check, and black should know how to do the checkmate with the king and the queen. I left that on the board. It could also be a king and a rook on the chessboard too. If there's a king and a rook on the chessboard, it still has chances for a checkmate. But black has to show that he knows how to do the checkmate. And then we begin the 50 move rule. Okay, black is just trying in 50 moves. He got 50 turns to try to make a draw out of this. Or not a draw, but to get a checkmate, excuse me. And white's trying to stay alive for as long as possible, of course. Well, this is because, again, white has made the wrong move and he ran over to the side. But if he's actually making the right move, he's going to stay in front of the pawn. And as he stays in front of the pawn, black has two choices as well. Let's say he goes away from the pawn. If he goes away from the pawn, this is just like our first example of the draw. There's not enough pieces left on the board. There's only kings left to battle with, and we're not going to get anywhere here. So what he needs to do is to stay on the pawn. As he stays on the pawn, black has laser beams here, and the pawn also has covering those squares. So white cannot get anywhere. He's stalemated. And this is, again, a stalemating kind of draw. But if I go all the way back like this, white and black do not have to continue to keep on playing this game if we say and we know that, hey, this is a theoretical draw and I can prove it. Okay. And again, black does not have to accept the draw at this point. He can continue to keep on playing on and actually make white work to show him that it's a draw. All right, let's go to our last example. In our last example here, both chess players have taken a look at this chess position right here, and I know it's just started. It looks like there's just been some controlling of the center. Some pieces have been developed. These guys look like they're about ready to castle, but these two chess masters shook hands and said, this is a draw. Draw by an agreement. This is a kind of a tricky one sometimes to explain because among chess masters who have studied chess and continue to keep on studying chess, understand that it could be a theoretical draw in some of these if he plays correctly and white plays correctly. So as long as there's correct, accurate type of play, they can continue to keep on playing chess and essentially not go anywhere where we're not checking each other and we're not, like I said, there's no progress of improving the position at all. It's just kind of like, I don't want to mess this up, and they'll extend in their hand and ask, on their time, would you like to do a draw here? And that is helpful sometimes because you could be in a losing position here. As I am evaluating this position here, I see that it's just a dead looking draw here. Any player who makes a move could essentially like get to messing this up, and they may not want to mess it up. It just depends on the chess position here. Now, I've actually seen some student games, and when they're showing me they got a draw here, and I'm looking at it, and I'm like, what? Um, let's give a quick example here. White takes over here and over here, and then he gets the queen over here, and black knows that white has only, he's missing that other bishop here. White will extend their hand and ask black, hey, do you want to draw? And my students sometimes just go, yeah, sure, I'll take a draw. Coach Santos, he was a stronger rated player. I didn't want to mess this up. And I told my students, I said, hey, if you look at this position here, you're winning this game. If you're winning this game, then the idea that you want to do is to trade your pieces because you're winning. That's our strategy when we're winning. Trade those pieces. And if we're losing, we trade those pawns. So that's, again, a misassessment of the position here. We want to take a look at our chess positions before we accept a draw and to see if I'm in a good position or I'm in a bad position here. And it's not always uncommon if somebody's missing a pawn or two, they'll extend their hand and ask for a draw here. And I can accept or I can decline that draw. I have to, again, remember to use it on my own time and when we're looking and asking for a draw. Okay, so that's our 6 type of draws. If you need a refresher, just go back over this again. And let's take a quick look at a mini game I had here. In this mini game here, I have the white pieces and my friend has the black pieces here. So you can see me controlling the center, developing my bishop here. I love putting my bishop here in some games here because it pins that pawn to the queen. But he's just going over here, and when you go for this type of setup, what you want to do is get that bishop on that long diagonal, and then you may be able to get a rook. So e3, f6 attacks the bishop. The bishop comes back to this awesome diagonal. Still getting more space, and then black continues to charge at the bishop here. As he's charging at the bishop, oh my goodness, this was a horrible idea. This was a horrible plan, because what he has done, he has uncovered this pawn that was supposed to be protecting his king. Those pawns are stretched out too far, and this is a fool's mate when I go queen here to h5, checkmate. You cannot take it, you cannot run, you cannot block this. Checkmate. Game over. That fast. Isn't that cool? Maybe you may get one of those from time to time. Just remember, don't push your pawns so early in the game, especially over here. If you're going to push a pawn, do like I did here. Push those pawns that are in the middle and the center here. Control that center, develop those pieces, and you will have a good game. All right, everybody, thanks for watching. Have an awesome day. Bye now.